Hey guys, welcome back to RC. Today we're going to be putting some backing paint on this Lexan RC body. I got this with a used Traxxas Hoss that I purchased. They painted it a neon orange color. In general they did a pretty good job, but as you can see they didn't use any backing paint on it. And backing the paint on your RC body is pretty critical to a good quality paint job that will last, but also gives you nice body and color on the paint. Now this is a neon orange and I don't really love the color. I want to try and dull that down some, but today I thought this would be a good opportunity to show you how, depending on what color backing you use, it will affect the finished product on the paint. Now you see in this bright light on the white table here, it's a bright neon orange, but we're going to back it with a gloss black paint. And what you're going to see is that's actually going to dull this down a little bit. It'll make it more of just a solid orange color, a little less neon. Give you a feel for how the backing color can affect the finished product. Now just a quick review of what we're going to need and the process that we're going to do. First off, we need to wash the inside out just with some soap and water, something like a Dawn dish soap and water. Dry it off. Then we're going to rub some isopropyl alcohol on it just to make sure any fingerprints or anything are gone from that, with a rag of course. And unfortunately this one, since they've already painted the body, they removed the clear film, the protective film. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to put some tape and plastic back on it to cover and protect it. We'll make sure to cover the holes so we don't get any black spray coming through. So that's the process, that's what we're going to do, and hopefully this will be helpful for you, so let's get to it. Alright, so just the first step, just take some dish soap. Don't need a whole lot of it. Pour it on there. Use a rag. Just get the inside of it nice and clean. Remove any of the release agent or anything that may still be on the body, especially if you have a clear body that hasn't already been painted. I'm just cleaning this one because it's been shipped a few times and don't know what dirt and residue might be on there. So just give it a good scrub, rinse it off, and get it dry. So we'll get it dried off and we'll be back to clean it with the rubbing alcohol. Alright guys, so we got it washed out. Now we're going to just take a little bit of rubbing alcohol on a rag. We don't need a whole lot here, but we're just going to do the inside of the body just to get rid of any oils, maybe fingerprints or any residue that might be left over. Again, this isn't real crucial since this one has been painted already, but like where the windows are clear, I'm going to go ahead and paint those black now. So we need to just make sure that is all wiped down. And also, this will just help dry out any moisture that's remaining. Although if you have a lot of little nooks and crannies where you can't get in with a towel and can't seem to get it dried just right, you can always use a blow dryer. Just don't get the heat too high, don't get too close because it will melt the Lexan a little bit. So there you go, we got it wiped out. We'll set that aside. Next step is we're going to paint, or tape I should say, the holes and put our plastic over the whole body. So we'll just get some tape first. Any penetrations coming through the body, want to make sure we get those covered so that that paint doesn't spray through and get on the outside of the body. A couple of these holes are recessed down in, so we want to make sure we press that tape down into the recess, because that if we leave a void there, that paint will come up into that recess. We have some overspray in there. All right, just a few more here. Then we're going to start taping around the perimeter of the body. And then the last step is we'll get our plastic put on there. All right, so now we're going to go around the edge, and what I like to do is just tape the very edge and leave a little bit of the tape loose on the inside here. That gives you something to stick your plastic to. You don't have to be too worried about getting exactly precise to the edge. If anything, you want the tape to stick over past the edge, but also we just want to make sure that we don't have our tape folded over onto the inside, because then obviously that won't get painted. So kind of important how we do it, but it doesn't have to be too precise. Again, just making sure we leave our tape sticking up so that we can tape the plastic to it. Now, one note here, guys, you will want to be sure to use some sort of safe release tape. I like the Frog Tape brand, the yellow tape. You can also use the green. You probably could use blue painter's plastic, but that's probably as sticky as you'll want to get. You definitely don't want to use regular masking tape for this part. So I've got the tape all the way around the edge. I went back around, made sure all of the plastic was covered, made sure I pressed the edges in real nice. Again, you don't have to worry about if the tape is overhanging. You only have to worry about if the tape is rolled around and touching the inside. So I made sure it's not doing that. So next up, we're gonna go ahead and put the plastic on. I've cut a piece. This is just standard painter's plastic that you can get at any Home Depot or Lowe's. Got it a little bit longer than we need. And the part of tape that we left sticking up, I usually start at a corner and just go ahead and get that tacked on there. Just work it around. Again, this plastic, it doesn't have to be perfectly tight. We just have to make sure that there's none of the body exposed after we get it all on. What you may have to do as you're working it in there is take more plastic up on top of it and just make sure there's no voids, no holes where overspray can get in there. just work this around, get it tucked. Almost done. All right, so I'm going to go back through, just make sure we don't have any spots where the body is exposed, where paint can spray through. So I'm going to just take a couple more pieces here. Just make sure we tape our excess down. Just stick this across here, get that excess taped down. All right, so we're just about ready to spray. What you're gonna wanna do at this point though, is go all the way back around your edges. Make sure your tape is pressed on firmly. Again, double check that there's not any spots where there's a little bit of body showing. I have one right here. Just make sure we get that covered. Get everything pressed on real good. Then come around, after you do that, come around the inside and just make sure there's no spots where the tape, again, is folded over and touching the inside where we actually want to paint. All right, this looks pretty good. So the last thing I like to do is then just take your rubbing alcohol one more time, because we've been running our fingers around there, getting that plastic put on. Take this one more time. Just give it a light wipe down. Again, especially if you're doing this on a clear body that hasn't already been painted. Wipe it all down one more time. And then after you do this the final time here, try and make sure you don't touch inside of there prior to your painting. So after we get this done, we're gonna do 3 coats of the paint, the backing paint, which we'll show you next. All right, so we're ready to hit it with some paint. Like I said, we're gonna do 3 coats. I'm using the Spastic High Gloss Black. Make sure you get paint that's for polycarbonate, not for plastic, but this is specifically designed as a backer. Just a few things to note. They want you to get it to room temperature. Shake can for 1 minute, which I've done. And then you want to spray it using it 8 to 10 inches away from the surface. Now what you're going to see on the first coat that we do here is it's going to be a real light first coat. Just trying to put a tack coat on. We'll let it dry for 10 minutes and then we'll come back and hit it with the second coat. I like to spray it from 2 different angles, so I'll do this side, then I'll rotate the body and do the other side so we can try and get a nice even coat. Also, just very first thing, I do like to just kind of spray off. You see I put down plastic, but just to make sure everything's flowing right in the can. So we got a nice flow there. So 8 to 10 inches, and also make sure that you start off of the body, spray on, and continue past the body. Don't try and start and stop with the can right over the body. You'll end up with runs. All right, here we go. Rotate it around. So just a real light coat like that. You see it barely covered the orange, but that's what you want your first coat to look like. We'll let it dry for 10 minutes and we'll be back. All right guys, we're ready for our second coat. Let it dry about 10 minutes. Before you do that, just go back around, double check your edge tape, make sure it's pressed on well everywhere. Again, make sure the tape's not folded over onto the body. Also, don't forget to give your can of paint another shake for a minute, which I've already done. we're gonna go ahead and hit it with the second coat. This time, this coat, we're gonna do a little bit heavier than the last coat, but same techniques. All right, we'll let that set up and then we'll hit it with the third and final coat. All right guys, we're ready for the third and final coat. Once again, just make sure you check the tape all the way around the perimeter. Give your can a shake for another minute. This is our third and final coat, so we do want to make sure we go in a little bit more detailed on some of these angles and hit any of those light spots where we can still see a little bit of the color through. So let's go ahead and hit that. Double check we haven't missed any spots. Got a light spot right up here. All right guys, looks pretty good. We'll go ahead and let this dry out and we'll be back to take the plastic off and have the big reveal. All right guys, it's a little early, it's a little premature. It's been about 10 minutes since we did the third coat of paint. We're technically supposed to let it fully cure for about an hour. We're gonna go ahead and pull the paint off. I think you're gonna be surprised at the final color on this. You'll remember it was that neon orange. It's gonna be more of a solid orange or possibly even close to a burnt orange color, which really highlights the importance of the backing color. Of course, you know when you're doing metallic paints, you'll use a silver backing, and if you want a true neon, you have to use the white backing or else the neon doesn't show through. So let's go ahead and get this thing taken off and see what it looks like. Yeah, it looks nice. Get it turned around here in a second. You see, it's quite a big difference that the backing paint makes. In this specific instance, it got rid of all of the neon color, makes it look more of a solid orange color. We'll get the rest of this tape taken off. The Haas, just like the Max and the Sledge and all the new stuff by Traxxas, has the cage built into it, so we'll get the cage put on. But stay tuned, that's not all we have planned for this body. Of course, this was just to get the black backing on there to show you how big of a difference it makes in color. This kind of almost has a color change effect to it since it's a neon orange with that black backing, so that's cool. But we're planning with this body, we're gonna do the drywall tape treatment with the shoe goo. I also have some door edging that we're gonna put around this body, kind of give it some extra stability, see if we can make an indestructible basher body. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this helpful, and that's how we RC.